forget. So I just grate in the turmeric, then I go to the ginger. So I've got my milk going on the stove, and you never want to boil the milk. You just want to get it like when it's finished product, it just wants to be like really warm.
Right.
And then sometimes a lot of times in the winter, I'll add a clove and a little bit of maple syrup and cinnamon. And then I whisk them and I keep whisking it. And I just keep whisking it until it gets frothy and I know that it's almost about to boil and I stop. And then I pour it into a cup and it's just like delicious.
Well, it's delicious with the powder, but
I've had the powders many times, especially like when traveling and stuff. I've always had powders.
All right, it's called Golden Milk on Amazon.
Golden Milk. And there'll be all kinds of organic ones and varieties. And
all right, I gotta order it tonight because I don't have the patience you do.
it takes minutes, even in the morning, absolute minutes.
I don't cook anymore. You know that, right?
I know, but
I don't cook for myself. It just doesn't happen anymore.
like, how much, when you say you just grate turmeric, I mean, how much are we talking about? Like a teaspoon of each?
I would say if I'm really like wanting like a nice portion, then I will do probably, definitely a teaspoon. Definitely a teaspoon. So I just grate until I like it because I just love the taste of it.
Right.
And then I'll take a whole clove and I'll squish it.
Okay.
And then cinnamon.
A bunch of
sometimes
cinnamon.
I even grate the cinnamon,
Maple syrup.
And then a little bit of maple syrup.
Your digestive system too, I would imagine.
It's amazing for, it's so good for everything. So, and there's different recipes. I think some people add maybe some of this or some of that, but that's the basic and that's the really, really good, easy one. Almond milk, oat milk, whatever you want to add. Cow's milk, sheep milk.
It's like dessert.
It is.
I mean, it's like drinking
a
hot milkshake.
So in the afternoon, sometimes like when you go visit someone and maybe you don't want those like Starbucks 14 million, calorie things. If you go to a neat little coffee shop that has like real, things without all those syrups and stuff, and you ask for golden milk, a lot of times they make a big batch of that paste themselves.
Oh, really?
They put it in there and they steam it right up. And you can even add a shot of espresso. Sometimes because I've had that a couple of weeks ago, I was having a little bit of that on the weekends, like every weekend. So it was a golden milk latte with a little shot of.
And who makes that? I mean, like Starbucks or Caribou, or it has to be
Starbucks does, but then you're looking at the one that's just going to go to,
like
immediate inflammation and everything because it's just all fakey syrups and stuff. And it came, from the factory however long ago. But to make your own literally takes seconds. And oh yeah, thanks, honey. I thought one of you guys had like someone saying to you, psst, or like to a cat, shoo a cat away, and it was Kevin.
Yeah, I saw the door open behind.
I couldn't see him. All right, let me see, because if I have internet, that would be amazing.
Oh, is that what he just told you? You have internet?
Oh, but you know what? I probably shouldn't do it. I'm going to lose you, girls. I just hit that. That was dumb. And I need the Orbi. I need the other one anyway. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to leave it the way it is for right now. I'll get rid of that because my hotspot's really good. Anybody have AT&T?
I do.
Hotspot's really great. To use your phone. Like if you're
hotspot is, sweetie.
If you're in an airport, if you're out at the park and you want to pull up your iPad and use it or something, you go to your telephone and you go to the Bluetooth area, but underneath that it says hotspot and you turn it on and it's very good. I'm going to do a fun, so if you look at our agenda, let me pull up our agenda. So I don't know if anybody had 2 seconds to look at it. So new business. So first, the agenda is let's open as we always do with like which was great. Right here, we did a little bit of introduction, kind of chit-chatted back and forth and kind of got, it's been over a week since we've had our last call. And any brags, any wins, any things that totally blew up in your face, like anything like that. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of my lecture portion. And we're going to start with shadow issues. So very lightly. And then next week, we're going to really dive into shadow issues and get into working the shadow behaviors and all of this stuff, because it really impedes everything we do from childhood. So as you know, this weekend workshop was personal and professional growth. So you have to dig really deep into your shit, and it can be on a really great level. And I mean, we had breakthroughs within girls sobbing, like guys, like, but once you address these things, all that stuff in your body and your mind, your spiritual blocks, maybe you could be trying to do yoga and it just isn't, like you can't do it or something. Like there's blocks that go really deep, super neck and shoulder issues, lower back issues. This is where the body holds on to stuff. And when we have these shadow issues and these shadow behaviors, we're going to get into in a little bit, it actually increases weight, blood pressure, all of this, which trickles into the professional world, right into your corporate decisions or your reaction with people and not. And like, I'll show you the statistics and all. It's not just.
Was that the TED Talks, identity awareness? Is that what that was? Okay. All right.
Well, the ones that I sent you last week. So that's like
The one that,
self-building.
what you're talking about right now, what did it come through as an email? Didn't you send that yesterday?
I didn't send this one yet.
Okay.
So I did not send these links.
But the
So
last thing you sent was the Amy Cuddy body language crash course.
Yes, those are fantastic. Like you have to watch them. And you have a minute and then watch it again, because like those.
I did watch them. They were pretty impressive.
Yeah, those two ladies are, and if you really follow, so that was just one little topic. That was like a prelude into something that we did, a workshop a long time ago. And I just found it kind of really coincides with what we're trying to dig into. But so these shadow behaviors, we had breakthroughs in our class, like I said, sobbing. And then girls, after the group of 3 of them, I think, went and had like really intense body work done by this intuitive healer from down there, this Hispanic woman. And she's an energy mover. And also they went for that, but to get a massage too, kind of the same thing, but they knew they were in a level deeper than a massage. And that's what they wanted. So they went, both girls had some like almost debilitating, like wake up in the morning and like their backs were done. The other one, like their feet really hurt or something like, so energy had shifted and locked in. And this one girl physically, because we had just had our real emotional class, our personal breakthrough, like break down so you can break through. And then she went for that healing massage, energy massage. And she physically was like nauseous, didn't think she could get up in the morning. She got up and she was dizzy. She couldn't like move her neck at all. She was like stuck like this. She couldn't. And then another girl within their group who has a healing modality in her business, and she's very hands-on. And she said, let me just see if I can hold some energy and just, touch there or whatever while we're talking, just because you look like you're in pain. She just sobbed and melted down. And it was like coming out like all over. And she was trying to half apologize or not, but like, so this shit goes deep, and it's in our tissues, it's in our bones. And Ayurveda has been saying this, for this, depending on which, structure, 5,000 to 7,000 years old. We pull these things deep into as early as our childhood or any kind of major trauma after that, physically into our tissues, and it resonates and holds on and stays there. And it might move around, it might show up in a different place, but as we start to go deeper and dig into it, not only are the 10 habits going to look different, and they're going to feel deeper, and they're going to have more meaning, circadian rhythm is going to be more noticeable to us. We're going to understand it. The moon cycles, like all this amazing stuff that's out there in woo-woo land, as modern right now. Well, actually, the modern world is coming into this, but all of these cosmic energies and forces and times and rhythms, they're the base of our existence. That's what, before all this beautiful technology and everything, I'm not making fun of technology because I love it. Before we allowed all of this interruption, our bodies were more in tune. So when something really traumatic hit, it hit on purpose. It kind of was dealt with, but they were more in tune with rhythm and their body. But they also understood people that had traumas or things happened to them early on in life or whatever time of life it was, how the body held on to it because there was no other distraction. So Ayurveda and Chinese medicine and all of this is more of an observation. So they thousands of years of watching what happens to the body, specifically the mind, the spirit, the breakdown through certain traumas, through certain shadow issues that we hold in. So this is pretty neat. We're going to go through this
Did
and
you
where
want
it,
to share
yes.
a little more deeply what possibly it was she was going through? Just curious.
Yes. So she had, this woman had some trauma as a child with abandonment. I believe her mother for a long period of time left the picture and came back. And I guess they worked through that because she came back, those horrible feelings as the abandonment, that got buried because mom came back. So it wasn't a lifelong. So once something resolves itself a tiny bit, we push it down because it never really came out, especially back. She's my age, a little bit younger. She's our age, a little bit younger.
Of some kind, or teacher of some kind. Is that why she was there?
Yes, she's a wellness coach as well. And she is believe it or not, Jimmy. Yeah, she is she deals with the meridians and the nadis. So she does massage, but she actually does acupuncture, but per like the meridian. So she went to, when she was having major breakdowns, well, I'm going to get into the rest of the story, but she went to China and learned the modalities and stuff and came back. And now she's developed it into her Reiki and massage, but she really is an alignment and energy healer along with what she does. So then, so things start to get better. She goes to college. Everything is good, appears to be good. She and her husband meet. They have a really great business for years, 2 sons. The business is a private investigation. And about 10 years ago, he tells her he's having an affair and blurts us all out and all this, and they're in business together and all. She went into such denial because of the childhood trauma of that abandonment. Now her husband, business partner is telling her this stuff. So she went really, really, really deep into it and went into denial and pushed more in. So from there, so she and her husband are still together. So like they are together, but she's getting sick and sicker. Now her kidneys are shutting down. Now she has liver issues. She's turning yellow. She has migraines. She is having one other like major, amazing rashes and things, blood pressure, like everything is going chaotic on her. They're giving her, she got up to the point where she was on 14 medications, each doctor telling her, well, this is happening. Your heart's going, your kidneys are going, your liver, you need to take these drugs. So feeding her with all of these drugs and nothing's resolving. And finally she's like, this isn't working. And she somehow found it. She's in the Santa Monica, I think she lives in. She found a Chinese, like in a naturopath kind of, holistic doctor out there recommended by a friend. She was literally in bed rest for 6 months. She was done. She finally goes to this holistic doctor, this Chinese doctor, and he said, your chi is non-existent. There is no energy. It's blocked everywhere. You're not moving to any organ. You've completely shut down inside. He said, and if you don't do something about it right now, next year, 1 year from this visit, you won't be here. He said, your body is turning off. And she was like, I can't go any lower. So tell me what to do. So she worked with him and went through different things and then went through all these different modalities. Certain things started to come back. And after a year and a half, then she went to China and got massage and all this. And then when she came back, so it was like a whole 3-year process in and out, still involved with her husband. And she came home and said, if you can tell me you love me still, then we'll work on this because I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling like I'm starting to rebuild. But it was energy. She had to get rid of this shit. So she saw everybody over there to physically and emotionally bring it out of her in words and in everything, what's going on, and releasing it. And he couldn't. So she put the house on the market, filed for divorce, sold everything, moved into her own. She only has a trailer in this beautiful little park, does this amazing things, has tons of clients, is doing beautifully, but physically felt this stuff coming out all over again when they were doing the energy movement on her again, because our workshop dug back into it again. And so this shit is real, and it's in us if we don't figure out how to address it, which brings us into this shadow behaviors, shadow issues, which I'm sure we've all heard in different yoga classes and different things. Like if you've ever gone to a little workshop or a little, weekend retreat or something, they call it shadow because it's an issue that is like, you believe you're this way and this is how you see yourself and this is what's going on. But then all those issues that are the actual opposite is usually all of your bag, all of your shadow issues and your behavior. And a lot of times what our shadow behaviors are what we really like, we're acting them out. So we're suppressing them, but what irritates us in a friend, in a relative, in a coworker, things that we're looking at to them that irritate us or bother us or whatever is usually stemming from inside of ourselves. So it's usually coming from something inside of us that's being reflected back at us we don't like. And if we're not aware of it, we just feel like we're irritated because they're friggin' annoying or something, or they're too slow, or they're too this, or make up your mind, or don't be emotional. Or so a lot of people do it like they exhibit it, as they say, differently. So some people are like, sometimes I can be defensive, and that's my guard to hold on to what I believe maybe is something in me that needs to be protected. You can do resist change, manipulate. Some people manipulate others, or they act real aggressively, impatient, overbearing, territorial, like people hold on to things, unresponsive, like kind of, blank, or have really, really moody episodes. So the shadow behaviors are pretty like unique to each of us, but they're also like predictable as well as being like preventable. So if we dig into these and start to recognize them, we might.
Are you saying that the shadow is the opposite of the way we are?
It is the opposite of the way we're viewing ourselves usually. So the shadow issues are usually like that trunk of stuff you don't bring out, or you don't address, or you don't do. Say something's hard. Say something's like hard to do, hard in business, hard in relationships.
Wait, hard to lose weight.
Did you do something? Because when you speak, your picture doesn't pop up anymore.
When it's on her iPhone, she does that. So we'll just see iPhone.
Okay.
Because it saves.
Yeah. So what would the shadow issue be? Like, I can't get myself to self-control on eating.
So if we get into this and we start writing things down, and we get into, so we're going to do an exercise in about 5 minutes where we're going to write down a few things, and then we're going to look at what the opposites of those are. But for someone like you, or someone like that, say someone is too skinny or someone is too heavy for themselves or whatever, it usually goes back to something that's deep seated in us that happened within our family, or say food was a particular something for you, and the emotional bonds to your family are stronger than losing the weight, because food and prep and fun and whatever could have been an issue or something, but there's something tied usually deeper to the behavior. And a lot of times it leads to that hormonal imbalance, which doesn't allow us to lose weight, because then we really hold on to fat in different positions as a hormone response. Again, to that, all the way back to the insulin resistance. So you were saying in the beginning, your diet was very like your chips at night or your different things. So if you eat that, or say you were drinking soda, not you particular, but like drinking sodas or very processed packages of different things, or the body then starts to store fat, but it's like a one-way street. Once you start eating all those processed and those hydrogenated oils and those different things regularly, the fat goes in, but it really kind of can't come out. Like it gets stuck in those tissues because of the brain connection to it. It's just like fascinating loop of stuff that the standard American diet has basically broken down the health of of the whole nation, the whole Western world. So, but I'll explain. We're going to get in more to like this. So, and then the shadow issues, like we were saying before, shadow behavior. So the actual behavior of these, they damage relationships. They kind of impede communications. If you're working with teams, you find it really difficult to deal with teams. Then the morale goes down. And so this is like within the business end of it too. So your decision-making, like your teams, I mean, your employees, like employee turnover and stuff sometimes is really, really increased with it. I actually have one statistic here. And these within a corporate setting, it's a huge cost to the business without even know that it exists. So 42% of managers spend time addressing shadow behaviors in the workplace. They don't even realize it. It's that combative relationships. It's someone not being on the team. It's someone arguing, someone doing too much, someone not doing enough. Like all these things are interacting usually from someone's behavior of a shadow, darkness, or something that has never come out. So they say bosses with strong shadow behavior increase employee blood pressure, which is so easily seen and true, creating a 16% increase in risk of coronary disease and a 38% increase in stroke. So normally when you have that boss that comes in and yells and screams, or the elevator opens and here she or he is and whatever, and everybody goes, and that like, you know, that's a reaction on us, on our bodies, our physical bodies, that like, you know, tirade coming through the door. You're like, oh shit. That's a reaction on us, not on them. They've already created their own time bomb, but it gives us the issues. So 94% of people on the receiving end of the shadow behavior vow to get even with the offender. So there's another layer. 88% of people on the receiving end of shadow vow to get even with the organization. And up to 90% of involuntary dismissals are a result of shadow behavior. So involuntary dismissals from a job. And more than 65% of performance problems are a result of a shadow behavior, which you can see now. Now that we're thinking of it and you think of coworkers or you think of stuff that was going on and performance problems, sometimes you're probably sitting there thinking like, shit, that person must have had a shitty life. And it's true. That's really the issue. That's where it's sometimes stemming from. We all have those just one day things where we blow up or go crazy. That's not a shadow issue. That's a reaction to a fight with your spouse, or, you know, something that, you know, might not have anything to do with the day.
You're talking about the postal workers who go in and blow the place up.
Yes. But a lot of times that's deep seated, like within them while they're out on their, you know, their trails and stuff like that. Maybe they're thinking all day long of like their life, or they hate their mother or father, or their uncle did something to, you know what I mean? Like stuff goes on. And so shadow issues are they're a really, really cool thing to go into. And when you start getting into it, like I was last weekend, you come into it like, nah, I don't have much of that. I addressed it already. Well, guess what? That's not true.
What did you just say?
I said sometimes, like when I came into it, you're like, nah, I don't have any more of those. I already addressed it. Like you're thinking, you know, I had that stuff, but my shadow issues are pretty much resolved now, you know, thinking, oh, I went to therapy, I got everything out, everything, but it's deeper than that. And that's where we get stuck in life. And that's where our patterns become repetitive. That's why certain things don't happen. That's why certain kinks and creaks in the body, or like the chi, as the Chinese doctor was saying, like that energy needs to flow in every direction. And those blocks create real physical impairments in the body or the brain or our emotional body. So it's really fascinating, man. We went deep.
A perfect example of that. 2 days ago, I know I'm going through this lawsuit thing with Tim. He's taking me back to court. So just email open up my phone first thing in the morning, and I didn't even have to read the email. I just saw the email from the lawyer, and it's just like, yeah, just total,
Yes.
like I'm dealing with now some like heartburn, like a acidic stomach, and I could just feel it starting like down here and just like coming up slow, and it's all anxiety.
Yep.
And it's just, I'm trying to manage that the best I can, but it's like, it's such a real thing. Like
It's
2
such a
days
real
ago,
thing.
I just completely 2 days ago was not a good day for me. I allowed it to take over my life. Granted, it lasted 24 hours. And then I woke up with a whole different, mindset the next day. And it was like black and white.
Yes.
I know the tools, I know what I have to do, but it's a real thing. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's going to creep up on you and it's going to kick you in the ass. And I
Yes.
allowed it to happen. So I'm trying to, yes, get the
Right.
tools to evade that
So
situation.
think of even just that situation. And when we go into this, so I'm going to have you write down a few things and do some things because I know you personally. Think of the things all the way to back, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, household, whatever. There's something like deep in you too that's stuck in there that allows Tim to give you that reaction.
Absolutely. Yes.
So as you start to get some of this stuff out, then the body starts to heal. So it's a process. That's why we say like this course is a year. The body wants a year to heal. Anything physical, broken something or whatever. If we can go to Western medicine and have things band-aided right away for instant results. But if you want the body to heal 100%, it's the 7 layers of tissues, it's exchange of energy. The body is asking you for a year. Like, give me a year, and it's going to be slow, but that's how I'm going to rebuild you cell by cell. It's rejuvenation. So the mind and the connection to the body, it's all the same way. It's like, give me a year. You need a year to change whatever it is. Those short terms make you feel better for a minute, but they're not lasting. They're not long results. So, and that hold, you will slowly. So I had that reaction many times, the same things. I would see an email or my boss, or like, especially, yes, like when you're going through divorce and stuff, and all of a sudden, something comes in the mail and you're like, ugh, that reaction, you will slowly, if you stick with this, you will slowly the body will start to learn the lack of that response to it. So each time you do the practices, they get stronger and stronger. They're not going to work 100% the first time right away. I mean, they're going to work for that minute, but then you're still going to have like that reaction when Tim sends you something right away. But then after a while, your body starts to learn the better reaction to things, responses, certain circumstances, whatever it is. And it already now understands it doesn't have to react to those anymore. And it doesn't. I mean, it's amazing what I've trained myself just in the last few years to the way to be responsive when I wanted to, on purpose, but not reactive. And it's really, really, it's like so empowering. Like even my boss will say something, I'll be like, yeah, I got it. I'm ready. Let's go. Where I used to be like, oh, let me find my spreadsheet. Like my mind's going, where to put it? Now I'm like, yeah, let me go. Give me 1 minute here. I just join in. Like, it's like, yeah.
I mean, it seems so simple, right?
It's not.
So simple.
It's not simple at all, because the body took all this time to learn it, how to keep reacting and reacting. Those messages in the body. And like even Laura is now holding on to weight. Like you could do all those crazy diets and things right away and be like, yeah, 10 pounds or whatever is gone. The body has to unlearn how to put that weight on. It wants to take it back off again, but you want the chemical responses in the body to be more productive, to where they stay longer, like they actually stick. So that's this whole body, mind, emotional body. Like that's that whole connection, the spiritual realm around us. And that's why the more you do it, that's why the Kaizen, those tiny steps every single day, if you keep doing. So when you open that and the indigestion and all that starts coming up, which is going to interrupt your irritable bowel as well, like all of that. So box breathing, it's like different things, but like keep at it, like different things like that, that physically calm the nervous system. so that each time as you get months into this, as that happens, your body will just start to breathe. It'll be like,
That's why yoga
yeah,
is so important to me. It's
yeah,
so important to me. It's
yeah,
truly, and I'm so glad I finally, after doing it for 15 years, when I was at my peak of trauma, is when I, just like that woman, I connected with it. I was at a
yeah,
class, I literally, I was embarrassed. It was like the tail end of the class. All of a sudden I had no control, and
yeah,
my body was shedding, purging all the toxins, everything. And I just came unglued at the end of this yoga class and was sobbing. Everybody
yeah.
left and I was just there for the instructor. And not until like then have I've connected on a whole different level,
Yeah.
and what I need. And I'm so grateful that I have it. So I know what I need to do.
That's where, as Laura can now attest to, bringing it now for a couple months, that's when the habits, like what we go through on the habits, when you start to automate them and Kaizen approach a little bit of, once you learn what your routine should look like, that starts to take over on all the other levels of other things, because you understand how important it is and at what time of day it's important to do what and why. So that's the ability to keep it constantly going on the wheel.
I mean, I have off for the next 2 weeks because they shut the inn. So it's like, it's really more than 2 weeks. It's like almost 3 weeks because of my shortened schedule now. And I'm like, I have to, before I go to bed, I have to have a plan for the next morning from the second my feet hit the ground, because I can go down the way it can be a little more toxic for me.
Yeah.
So I have to like know before I go to bed, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and
Yes.
stay more regimented and scheduled, or else, I can go haywire. So I need to,
Which we all can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's really a fantastic journey to go down that. And the Tarpana, that's another great one. That's ancestral healing. That's going back into somewhere in your ancestry, some involvement with someone or whatever, and you pick what person you think it might be, or the most involvement in some kind of a past or something you're holding on to, and you bring that person to this ceremony. That's fantastic.
I'm sure you read a lot about, isn't like all hallucinogenic therapy, like really coming back. I'm sure you've read a lot about it because it seems to be like right on the forefront of a lot of stuff right now, like mushrooms in a controlled setting type of thing. Are you reading a lot about that right now?
Yes.
Yeah,
they're using a lot of the like the psilocybin and microdosing and macrodosing and different,
but in a total controlled setting.
Oh yeah, you have to be, to get the benefits of it. Like you could do it and have like a experience, but to get the benefits of it, because of the way that the consciousness becomes like the outer, that's what you want to do. And if somebody's there guiding you, they can reflect on what they saw and what happened.
Or take you down the right path.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's a philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, something like that. And one of the quotes I absolutely love, I was told this a long time ago: one must have chaos in oneself in order to give birth to a dancing star. So all that chaos and everything that's going on inside our bodies and in our minds and in our spirits and emotions and all that's going on, the chaos in here, it's chaos to order. So that's how one becomes out and bright, and as he calls his dancing star.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Right?
Yep, you got to hit rock bottom before you appreciate what life has to offer.
Yeah, it usually takes that kind of a thing, because if you're going through, life on the cozy little, ride, you don't pay attention to all those little things that are building up inside. That snowball is starting to roll. So here's one introduction to what I'm going to have you girls do. So, and I actually did this in class. This was kind of fun. I think we did in the workshop, I think we did like 10 things, or maybe we just brainstormed for like 2 minutes. I don't remember. We all carry an image of ourselves in our minds of who we are, what we're like, and what qualities we have. We form this sense of self through repeated experiences in the world with others and through self-reflection. So everything you're doing, like you have this idea of who you are and what you do. We're intrinsically linked to the world around us, interconnected. People throughout our lives have given us direct and indirect information about who we are through what we see, what they see in us, and they give us a response to this. We then internalize these reflections from others and take what fits with how we feel like we see ourselves and reject what doesn't fit. So through this process of filtering information, we hopefully form a coherent sense of identity in the world. However, there was more to the self than just what we like to see and what we tell ourselves we like to see. So Carl Jung, I think, a Swiss psychiatrist, called this the shadow. Jung wrote, "Unfortunately, there can be no doubt that man is, on the whole, less good than he imagines himself or wants himself to be. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and the denser it is." Want me to repeat that? So unfortunately, there can be no doubt that man is, on a whole, less good than he imagines himself or wants himself to be. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it's embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and the denser it is. So an important idea here is that the less awareness we have of the shadow itself, the blacker, the denser it is. He writes, "For me, this calls to mind a mental image of a very dark area inside a house that never has any light cast on it. If you think of your conscious awareness as that light, then consider the importance of casting the light into the very darkest place of your inside house." Jung wrote, "To confront a person with a shadow is to show him his own light. Once he has experienced a few times what it is like to stand judgingly between the opposites, one begins to understand what is meant by the self. Anyone who perceives his shadow and his light simultaneously sees himself in two sides, thus gets in the middle." And thus gets in the middle. So that's what's pretty cool about this fun little exercise we're going to do right here. So this is called Identify Your Shadow Self. And it's from Siegel, who is another neuroscientist, or no, he's not. That was the other psychologist. And his is the mindfulness solution. So Siegel provides this quick little exercise thing that we did, and it was pretty fun. So you make a list. So if you have a piece of paper, your iPhone, iPad, something that you're writing on right now, you write down 5 positive things that you see yourself as having. So it's you're compassionate, you're generous, like whatever it is, like think of just 5 things, positive things that you see yourself as, and be honest, like it could be, I'm funny, whatever. So write down 5 things. I'm going to see if I can find mine, what I wrote about myself while you're doing that.
Yeah, let's hear what you wrote.
Yeah, I'm trying to find mine. We did so much shit. We did 3 days of business stuff too, so that's all mixed in here. right here somewhere because I just found my shadow. After like a whole day's
So
exercise.
what do you call the positive things are called what? Not the shadow, they're called
Qualities.
qualities.
Five positive qualities.
Yep. What's step 2, Debbie?
All right, pass that. Okay. Look at each positive quality that you wrote down, describe its opposite. So then next to it, you're going to write the opposites of that quality. Damn, I want to find. All right, and then if you have your 5 opposites, now you're going to picture a person who embodies these negative qualities vividly in your mind. Like if you can picture someone, people are saying right out, like right away, like the positive was like, oh, this is my dad. And the other one would say, and then the negative was my mom. Like they're so right there. They're so, or my sister or my coworker. But if you can find someone, picture someone vividly that has these qualities.
Bless you.
What? Yeah, bless you. What if we don't know anybody that has all of these things?
They don't have to all of them. You can even picture each one. And then we're going to do, so.
I mean, they have to be somebody we know?
No, you do not have to know the person. It could be a celebrity. It can be an actor. Like it could be someone, in your town or something, or no, you do not have to know the person, but you have to understand their quality, the negative quality in them.
Huh. I'm really having a hard time with this.
Yeah, just if you can come up. But we'll go on to like, so there should be 5 negatives. So can you pick out a few?
It's hysterical. I just read all my opposites and immediately what came to mind was my ex-husband. Oh my God.
Okay, so if you can do that, so you picture the person that embodies these negative qualities, which I had a lot of the same thing too. I'm trying to find the exact words, but I know like what I felt. I know where it came from. These negative vividly, so vividly, like roughly, these are your own shadow issues. So what you see negatively, that word or that quality in someone else, when you really can see it, that's basically your shadow issue. So that's somewhere inside you that when another person does it, acts it, says it, reacts to whatever it is, that's the irritant in you because it's really your own shadow issue, which I was like, absolutely. Like as I was looking at my list, I'm like,
That makes sense. It's almost like the first shadow on my first positive was like inward or sullen. And then for each of the other 4 things, I wanted to write the same thing, same exact thing for all of them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that makes sense, but
so
then I changed it.
I'm not getting this for some reason, right? I mean, like one of my positive qualities I feel is I'm a kind person. I'm compassionate and forgiving, right?
So that's 3 right there.
Well, I mean, I was kind of lumping them into, trying to, when I say compassionate, what do I mean? Right. So I was kind of defining that.
But then,
So
then it would be
if
like
opposite of-
non-compassion.
so what
Like,
I
so-
wrote was, instead of compassionate, kind, or forgiving, the opposite is hateful.
Mhm.
So my
But you don't
shadow-
have to be hateful to not really have compassion. So they're different. You know what I mean? So that's what's blocking you. They're really not the same. Like that person can be, you can be kind, or you can really just not show any kindness, but you're not hateful. So hateful is another one.
Agreed. Yeah.
Hateful's very strong. So hateful, like you could be totally loving, then the opposite of that would be hateful. But compassionate, or just not, or inability to, have compassion. And, so that could be different people, which would be very different. Someone who has true hate in them are very specific as to someone who just isn't very compassionate. Wait, when you're a compassionate person, you feel that empathy for other people, and you feel that like you want to help. Like that's a different feeling than being super, super kind or hateful. Like hateful is that's a hard one. So it's probably broken down a little bit more in your
okay.
in your
So
list.
say I'm a kind person,
Mhm.
right? Then the opposite is mean.
Yes.
What'd you
Okay.
say?
Mean.
Mean. Mhm.
Yeah, you're mean. So that means that somehow I'm really not kind. I'm really mean. That's my that's the shadow side, is
Right.
mean, is being mean.
Yes, and they don't all have to be you exactly whatever, but in that, so it's not you have an issue with meanness.
Right. Or something you're fearful of. per se.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Right. So if you're very, very kind, your shadow issue is you might not have tolerance for someone that was mean to you, or people being mean to each other. And then as we start to peel this onion away and go in and in, we're going to find out why the meanness is so a point for you, or such a hard thing. Or when you're mean to someone else, sometimes you're acting out your own inner holdings. Like maybe I don't know, but maybe you felt like you needed to be mean to someone when they were little or something, or someone was mean to you. So this is an issue that you don't address, or you have this shadow issue, you have issues with this meanness. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to portray meanness.
Where could it be you strive to be the polar opposite of something you were very affected by, or a person you were very
Bingo.
affected by, and you make a conscious effort to be the other way because
Yes, but why?
it hurt you somehow, or
Yes,
affected
it's
you in
it's
some
the
way.
why. So we're going to get deeper and deeper. It's not necessarily the 5 qualities bring out the things that are your shadow issues. You avoid them, you don't like them, you bury them, like whatever it is. So as you go in deeper, as you just said, you don't have tolerance for that or whatever because you pushed it in. So once you start getting deeper and deeper, you start to figure out why, what happened, what level, what are you holding on to, or what are you hiding? And this is what actually breaks down the body, the mind. It absolutely interferes with our cognitive development. Like all this is inflammation in the body. And it's this reaction of things that we just don't address. And if we don't address them, they come out as a shadow issue. Like you bark at someone at work. Maybe they did something that annoys you because you can't do it, or something like that, or you wish you could do it.
I feel like all my 5 positives were things that became more of who were always attributes of who I am as a person my whole life. But once I got divorced and got away from the toxicity in my life, I revisited those things, and I reconnected with those positive attributes of myself because I was so squashed in my marriage. So now
Right.
I've reconnected with these attributes. So
Right.
yeah, so the opposites are of my
Yes.
things, like I said.
So when we do a
Right, Pam.
Turpana, which I think we're going to do Turpana in March, all those things that you just described that you allowed, you didn't allow, but what Tim did to you, whatever, that goes back. There's someone in your ancestral background like that needs to come out and be addressed and be confronted and let go. And it goes like it starts to go. So the issues with the drinking and the alcoholism in my family and on and on and on and all this. And the one thing that I was so blessed with having a major training like 10 or 15 years ago that brought up these Tarpanas and things. And once I addressed the issues like deeper and deeper, it didn't resolve for me like whatsoever, but I was able to release the connection to the past, like of what my female, the ancestors in my female side of it, how they addressed the alcoholism in the husbands, the fathers, the grandparents, whatever it was. So their reaction, and we carried it like great grandma to my mother, to me, it was like, we all repeated the same pattern. And it's almost like you can, it's genetically in you, but you don't have to carry it out. So I made a conscious decision to get this broken and somehow get this energy out of my body. Both of my girls married non-alcoholics and all that, like, and I physically told them, I broke the chain. You're not going to visit the same things I did. It's not there anymore. And they haven't. It was like it was the most gigantic gift I've ever experienced in my life for myself, was not sending this their way. There's other stuff. There's other shit that we carry through, but that was huge for me.
Bringing up a whole different ball of wax.
But this is what, if we don't address this, we're not taught from like, babyhood to keep these things going, that this happens. It's like, other cultures are just more intuitive continuously through their life. And that's what the wisdom of the elders are there for. We take our elders and we ship them off to nursing homes and call them like old and feeble and dumb. They have more wisdom in their pinky than any of their, youngers. We've dismissed that. We've totally dismissed that elder wisdom. Like,
Well, what the problem is we have elevated our children.
exactly.
And we treat our children like they're gods.
Exactly.
And we disrespect our elders, which is completely upside down.
Yes.
Well, in other cultures, the elders, the grandparents, there's such a close family unit. Like in a lot of households, they all live together.
Yeah.
So the respect starts like up here. It's not.
Yes.
It's nothing like that in this country.
Mm-mm.
So different.
But I'm laughing because when you said something about meanness and barking at people, so I'm like, and then you started talking about the ancestry stuff, and I said to myself, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get the barking at people, the sharpness that comes out, and I know where I got that from. I got that from my mother.
Oh.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. She would periodically, just come out with a tone and a real zinger.
And how did you feel? So right now, address that just for the brief second. How did that make you feel when that happened? If you can remember. Can you feel something inside? Can you actually feel that coming up right now?
Injured, ashamed, unfairly treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
those things can be very connected to weight.
Exactly. And when someone barks and yells at you, you either dismiss it or so that makes you angry because of what your body's physical reaction is having to the response of someone barking at you or that feeling of when your mother used to do it. It's all tied together, and your cells have that memory and that vibration in your body. It doesn't go away. It has to be released. But it's fascinating when you can tap into the correct neurons and get the body open in these channels, instead of we walk around in a society where okay, we woke up, let's put our costume on because we want society to see us this way.
So I mean, why necessarily does, the feeling that you get or that I got when she would, I mean, because what she was saying, there might be some truth to it. It's not like
Right.
it's untrue,
Right.
but it was undeserved. The intensity,
Yes.
and the fury, behind it
Right. Was her shit
was
giving
hurt.
to you. She didn't even
Yeah,
know she was venomous to you. Whatever was going on in her life, she was giving to you, and you resented it. So it's an immediate insulin spike. It's a cortisol spike. Your hormones get all off balance. The body holds on to the fat and starts using that quick sugar for like that imbalance of that stressor. And when this happens over and over again in other things throughout our days, and add it to diet and whatever that's where like that storm comes in the body, the mind, the spirit, the emotions, wherever it is in you. And it's this is unraveling. So picture, like Colleen, I think you were knitting before, and you know how like you'll start with that big ball of yarn, and as you address it and you use it and you weave it into something new, the ball's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but the ball doesn't go away right away all the time. Every time you take the effort to knit a whole nother row, the ball's getting smaller. Then you go to the next row, the ball gets smaller.
Good analogy, Debbie.
This is what we're doing. Picture that knitting ball. It's really big to start, and we have nothing beautiful created yet. As we create the beauty in us, the ball goes away. Damn, I like that one.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was a good image there. Yeah. I'm still trying to so basically anything that causes stress, which would be, I mean, would lead to possible problems with weight gain and all of that. So
well, the immediate response, yes. So the immediate, like the American diet, what they offer to it, that's the immediate stressor on the insulin and the so this is crazy. So if you're a person that say constantly eating bagels, ice cream, things like this, so the sugars and the starches and the processed food, if you eat those, the body's response, because it's so hard to deal with all of those chemicals and what to do in your body, it's the equation of being chased by a saber-toothed tiger in the cortisol and the insulin release, because it turns the body in such upheaval. And we have like little 9-year-olds and things that are walking around super, super heavy, and their brains aren't as sharp, but it's food related. Their bodies have so many mixed chemicals, and they're storing the fat. And intermittent fasting, maybe just skip a meal a day. Everyone's like, all this stuff is going to help us get out of that pattern of the body holding on. So it's this fascinating connection that we don't have to be living in the way that we're living. Like, we can address it, and we can do something about it. So your 5 words as you see yourself, and then the 5 opposites of them, all 5 don't have to be our shadow issues, because maybe you forgot or weren't recognizing one good quality or something. So it's just a general idea that these are probably, so Siegel says, by illuminating how we construct our identity, our mindfulness practice helps us recognize and accept our shadow moment by moment. So every desirable and undesirable feeling, thought, image eventually arises in meditation as we practice noticing and accepting all of them. We see our anger, our greed, our lust, fear, along with our love, generosity, our care, our courage. Seeing all these contents, we gradually stop identifying with one particular set of rejections to the other. We eventually see that we have a great deal in common with everyone else, including those that are tempted to judge harshly. We see ourselves why people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Try to mindfully pay attention to each time someone around you does something says something, or is a certain way that irritates or upsets you, notice what bodily sensations arise out of this experience. Do you find yourself tensing up, Colleen, or clenching your jaw, or doing something irritating to someone, what someone said? Many things that annoy one person will have little or no effect on another. Ask yourself why certain qualities are so bothersome to you. If you highly value one of your positive traits, such as being organized, orderly, then being around someone who is sloppy or unorganized can seem quite painful. In a similar vein, if you highly value a trait such as modesty, then you can almost unbearably to be around a bragger. Each time you find yourself giving into these feelings of annoyance or irritation, instead ask yourself, in what ways am I sloppy, cocky, etc.? Like, address those things, like kind of going like, maybe I am these, way. Instead of getting irritated at them, say, well, in what ways am I sloppy? Maybe they're sloppy at their desk, but maybe if you open my refrigerator, it's horrible. Maybe my closet, or maybe my car is a mess, or someone who is a really annoying or irritating, whatever. Like, am I cocky a little bit in certain things? Am I a bragger? So you kind of, instead of getting angry with them and having all those responses in the body, say, maybe I do that too. Maybe just in a completely different way that's not as obvious. Practice slowly getting in touch with these qualities that you are fighting so hard to repel and push out of your experience. It is true that we often don't enjoy surrounding ourselves with people who remind us of the qualities that we claim to harbor. But there is much to be learned here by trying at those experiences as opportunities for growth, self-knowledge, and self-awareness. Open yourself up to meeting your shadow self head on. Welcome it into the proverbial table. Once you accept this presence, its power to irritate and fluster you begins to fade away. So that's like just the fun exercise of it. But next week, we're going to go into the different layers, and we're going to get into like why, and we'll write a quick little story, and then we'll kind of pair you guys up, and you go in and you tell, and then someone says what they heard. Kind of fun. That's when we might see a tiny bit of emotion come out. I did.
Debbie, what is it? You said it's called Trapana. How do you spell that?
It's Tarpana, Tarpana, Tarpana. Some people say Tarpana, but I believe it's Tarpana. So it's a practice. It's an ancestral healing practice. Yeah, definitely look it up. Give it some thought, because we're going to do it. And in the summer, 2 summers ago, I had a big retreat all set up here to have like cooking, yoga, healing, Reiki, like all of these fun things, singing bowls, like we were going to do a whole weekend thing. So down at the workshop, there's a woman in North Jersey that lives here, one down in Virginia, one in, I don't think it's Virginia, it might be North Carolina. There's a few that are kind of close that we all might come together and make this like a joint effort, which would be pretty fascinating. It'd probably be 2 days, 2 days in the summertime. So
Sounds great.
people who live around here obviously have, but we're trying to think of like how to host people or let people. So we're going to see who's involved and do whatever. But the power of that circle, as you all know, like even from just doing a yoga class or something, when you really get into like, so say if we start on Friday night and go through some fun things and all, by Sunday afternoon, that energy it's undeniable. Like you can't push it away. You either take it in. If you push it away, then you have another block. It's so much fun. And we're going to do a little bit of the cooking modality too, like a very little, because I happen to have the outdoor kitchen. So if you know anyone that might be interested or it's going to have a fantastic lineup of people.
Maybe do it
Cool.
the
Yeah.
end of June, and that's how I'll celebrate my 60th birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to put it out there on the thing. I'm going to be offering a new class that's going to be for the second year, people that are on their second year, and then anyone else who wants to get in it. And it's Master of You. And it's based on the 5 elements, but the 5 elements have to do like say, so fire is our vision and our purpose and our, you know, our attack on life. And then space is actually like our houses and our involvement. And so all of these, earth is the structure and stuff around this. So we're going to go into like at least a 6 or 9 month course of mastering yourself within the elements of the things in and around you and like that embody you and that like focus your mind or focus. And it's really, really cool. So these levels of using the 5 elements for the 5 elements of your life. So it's really pretty neat. So any closing thoughts or any anything, any questions or anything you want to, did you enjoy doing that, the little shadow exercise?
Yeah, can we hear each other's positive qualities?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to,
Did you find yours, Debs?
no, but I'm remembering what I did. So I put, I can't find exactly it, but but out of all of this, I found, which is more important, I found my shadow issue. Because we went through many more exercises to come out on that. So I said I was positive, enthusiastic, organized, strong. And I had one more that was like different than that. And I can't.
Positive, enthusiastic, organized,
Or
strong.
strong.
One other.
Oh, and intuitive. I think it was intuitive. And then when I went into my opposites where I can't find them on here, guess what? My big actual hardcore after like probably 3 hours of going through this and through this, what my core shadow issue is: low self-confidence. Low confidence.
And I think of your ex-husband when you say that too.
So crazy. So sometimes what we do and go and do all this is kind of that mirror image of what we don't want to see, that maybe we really don't have the confidence to do certain things, but it was much deeper. That was just the word
Out of
that came out.
curiosity, we kind of rambled off like a quick 5. So
Yeah, those were the positives, but what were the opposites?
Yes, that's what I said. I'm looking for, so the strong would be weak. Positive would be negative. And that's like I have such an irritation with negative people. And then it went back to I'm negative on myself. I have negative thoughts about myself. Enthusiastic. So that would be, I don't think I put.
I have enthusiastic too. And my opposite, I wrote like sullen or inward.
Yeah. I think I put inertia or something like that. So like down, movement. They were pretty like, because when we did the exercise, like we did a brain dump and it was pretty like easily, the ones that I wrote down, the opposites were pretty easy. So, but then when you really get into it and tell more into the story of why those words resonated and why. And so there's this identity spiral that you go through. And then
that's what I'm wondering, because like what resonated with you. So we pick 5 but you mentioned one. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me too. But why did I choose the 5 words that I picked?
Right.
Why
I would have put like
that one. Like, so did you come to a conclusion how or why your mind went to a certain place that you immediately picked these 5 like right away?
Yes. So as we went back, remember in the first couple of paragraphs that I was reading, it's how you view yourself. So I already knew how I viewed and what other people tell me I am. I already kind of knew these words. I'm, I'm a happy person. I'm a very strong, like even my boss is like, okay. So that's what the 5 qualities are easy to say, because it's how people see you immediately is always in your mind, and how you see yourself like this, like, oh, I'm this and this and this and this positively. I'm organized, like with my business and my stuff, like I'm very organized. And so I saw these things, or people have said over time, probably.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think I had probably had creative or something in there.
Or what were your positive qualities that you wrote?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I had, kind, adventurous, optimistic, spiritual, and a good planner.
Excellent. Nice range.
Yeah, nice range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's what do you do with these opposites? I'm missing the
She's stuck
step.
on the opposite.
So the opposites are usually, so you see yourself this way. So picture that. So you see yourself this way and you're portraying that.
people
So
do,
other people
right?
are seeing you the same way. Usually they're probably telling you the same thing.
Right.
So we kind of make up this way about us that we view ourselves or practice being this person. A lot of times because we're actually suppressing the scary part, the fearful part, the negative part, the whatever that we don't want to portray, that somehow was addressed to us back in time that became an issue for us that we pushed away. So that's the long of the short. So you come up with these quick words and then you start to look at it. Now, tomorrow when you're in work or going through the whole weekend, because you're going to interact with other people over the weekend, take those 5 words that you wrote down, the negative ones, the ones that you see, and see how when it comes out in someone else, how you react to it. What's the immediate response? So that's where it goes like one. So you take those words now for the next couple of days and you start seeing like, damn, that person, yelled or whatever. And I wanted to go up and punch him in the head, or I reacted like, shut up. Like, so as these things irritate you, see which things are irritating you. And then you start to get into, why is it an irritant to you? Or why are you reactive? Or why does it scare you? Or whatever your word happened to be. Or someone who's not creative, why do you not have kind of like feelings for them? Like, oh, sorry, ooh, big bug, gigantic bug just flew out of the sky. Adventurous, like say someone doesn't want to go hiking with you or go up and go on an adventure. And
right. The opposite is timid. And
yeah.
I'm just like, with timid people, I kind of feel sorry for them. And I don't want to be around them because they're a drag.
Okay, now listen to what you just said. When your mother yelled at you, you said you were timid.
No, I never said timid. I said I was ashamed, which is not being timid.
Yeah, but that's a feeling. A shame is a withdrawal. Being timid is a withdrawal. So these things are all connected, whether we're just not made aware of it. So this exercise is saying, be a little aware of it. See where the dots connect. See what's going forward with this. And that's when we start to recognize, I can say, having done this exercise years ago, shoot, I didn't have tolerance for this person because it irritated me, because it kind of is me, the part that I was hiding in me. I want to be organized. I don't want people to think I'm disorganized or something like that. Was a stupid example, but something like that. Like, you don't want someone always saying, oh, that's messy Marvin over there or whatever, because that means like your mind and your body or your finances, like that's all connected to me, but it's my lack of control over my childhood. The lack of no security, no, like there was no financial security. There was no structure security, like all that wasn't there. So all my shadow issues come out of those building blocks were never put in cement. That didn't happen. So you start to say, now I see where my issues are coming from when I made myself be a person of this, like an achiever, and it's the same thing, like, strong and all this, but it's because that's what I wanted as a child, or that's what didn't happen.
Very thought-provoking, Debbie.
Yeah. So as you start to see these 5 words, like write them down.
Now, would you consider your mother to be those qualities of yourself that you just mentioned? Because
some and some not. So some.
I know your mom likes to dwell on negativity sometimes, but she's also very strong-willed too, which I feel like you very much get that from your mom.
Yes, but can be the shadow issue in me where I have said, I am not going to possess A, B, and C that my mother does. I'm not going to do that. Sometimes you can't help it. You do it, right. But it's a conscious decision not to do certain things, but it's really an issue with me. It's not her issue, it's my issue.
Right. She might not find an issue with it in her own self. Yeah, I get that.
That's interesting when you ask that. about, well, are those the same qualities that you would use to describe your mother? And when I look at my list, I'm like, well, yeah, my mom was kind and adventuresome and optimistic and spiritual and a good planner too.
Yeah.
Apple
So,
doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. And the
so
older we get, the more we tap into that, the more we realize how really connected we are. I don't know if you do it, but sometimes I'll do something and I'll be like, wow, that was really like so my mother. Or you become very mother-like, like
Yeah.
your mother as you get older. You see it more as you get older. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, that's genetics too. I mean, it's carried forward. So the positive things you want to continue forward.
Yeah.
The negative things you want to address and let go so that you don't continue to carry them forward and pass them on to the next generation. And so this is why other very, villages and other societies that work together, they saw this, like all the, Eastern philosophies and things, they understood like Turpana and things. So they would have like ceremonies constantly. Like this went on. This was part of their world where they release, so the Native Americans would release it up and into and out into the universe and let these negatives go, like with nature. So you know how they have nature that resemble, I went to say resembles, but represents certain things and whatever. So certain things had all these meanings, but it was letting it go. That was the spirit, and go in and smoking whatever they smoked, and they went in these quests and it went out of their bodies, but they knew it. So they constantly addressed it on a healthier being, on a healthier way, which we all have to learn to do. So I'm going to help us learn it and address it and get this shit out so that we can be healthy.
Good class. Do you know my sister had a Native American Indian marry her? It was held outside. It was in the fall in Connecticut. Beautiful.
Yeah, I remember
it was all just like the drums, the music. It was pretty. It was really cool. And the ceremony was very much like that. Like letting release. Yeah, it was neat. Yeah.
All right. Any Laura, are you more clear now? Like, are you?
I'm struggling with it.
Okay, well, it is hard. If you can go back and listen to any of this, I'll see on our agenda the stuff that I read to you. I added to our agenda to my notes, so I can send that to you and you can reread it. But if you even Google shadow behavior, shadow issues, or look into things, you can find exercises on it. You can find just information about it, but it's a hard concept in the beginning to like understand, but then once you get it, then you get it. So if you could take your 5 negatives that you don't like, I mean, you had your positives, but then the negative words that came along, and see if any of those words now are on your mind more, and the reaction you get it when you see other people act those 5 out. So that's what we're going to do between now and next Wednesday. Just be conscious of what your negative 5 words were and why, or if it made a difference to you during this week, kind of noticing, like take note. Oh, shoot.
It's funny. I was taking yoga this morning and there's this older woman that I had never seen before. She like snuck in like 12 minutes after the class had already started, and she just like came in right
everything.
to my left, and she was like against the wall. She didn't look like she knew what the hell she was doing, and all I could then was focus not on what I was doing, but was her, and I was like hating it. So it's so funny because it's that behavior. I mean, that was my experience.
Yeah. Well, that she had that arrogance kind of like to come in and do whatever she wanted and not give any respect to all of you that had started. So something like that is a mind fuck for you.
Yeah. I redirected my focus quickly thereafter though. It was all good.
All right. So kind of
class. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a layer that we'll start to like get into. It's really cool. And then when we get to the end and you find out what your real shadow issue is, that's when you're like, ooh, yeah. 'cause
I
it's
know,
so
I was gonna
true.
say, I don't
So
know if I
are
want to
we-
go there.
Are we actually gonna work all the way through this?
We're going to go a little, yep, a little bit deeper. I mean, it takes, so to get, I mean, you could keep like going and actually get into like, where we get into sets of 3, and that one takes a little bit longer. If we have enough on the call next week, we'll do 2 and 2, and then we'll do 3, like maybe 2 3s or something. And that's when you get into sharing it with the other person. And that's when the emotions start to come out, because then you hit a chord. And when you hit a chord, that's when a release happens. But that's what you want. You want the actual vibration in your body enough to where it makes an emotional response. Then it connects to the brain. The brain has the neuroplasticity that we're trying to change. You can actually change the chemical reaction in the brain. So we need the connection before the brain can change to no longer be affected by these responses. So it's pretty neat. And it works. That's the better part. Any other questions? Anything to address?
No.
Let me see our agenda, see if I missed anything. We were going into the corporate study was pretty cool though, right? That was pretty fascinating. So Lauta says, mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Oh, and I had a
What I
connection.
connected with the other one that you were talking about, with the dark and all that, like
Yes,
I
the
was
one.
right with you until I felt like it was the opposite of being in the dark. And I listened to you say it twice and I still, but we'll let that lie because we're not going to go back into that.
That's right. That one, and I have a connection here too. I have a link in here for it's posted on Yoga Anatomy. This is this one site that I go to sometimes for things. Oh, here's a darkness quote on this. I missed this the first time I opened it. This is Jada DeWalt. So I embrace my shadow self. Shadows give depth and dimension to my life. I believe in embracing my duality, in learning to let darkness and light peacefully coexist as illumination. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that you sent to us. Yes. Yeah. That's life.
Yeah.
Necessary.
To comfort a person with his own shadow is to show him his own light. I think I sent that one too. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Are you going to send us these?
Yeah, I'll
quotes?
send you this link. This is a link that we didn't get into tonight, but I will send you this link.
Yeah, I'd like to reread that one.
Okay, I'll send you I'll send you these links, and then
I'm
even
that
if-
person who read when Eckhart Tolle's book came out, like, a simple quote like that. I would have to read it 15 times for it to like even resonate, if it ever resonated, because it's so thought provoking that I am not. It's
well, books like
I
that.
I don't have a mathematical brain. Let's put it that way.
You have to keep earmarking them, and so his is the conscious and the unconscious. So his is. I sent you this one from Tony Robbins, I think today. If you want to change your life, you have to raise your standards.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's absolutely true.
All right, I'm going to send you girls both of these. These are both links to Yoga Anatomy, and it's just it's a website. All right.
I'm gonna go look up this Tarpana thing.
Yeah, look up Tarpana. That's pretty cool. That's peeling shit. You have to bring
And
a
the meaning of
picture.
that is industrial healing. It's an industrial healing practice.
Yeah. So to the practice, you bring like a photo of the person, you bring something that maybe they ate or smell. So it's a real look, visual, smell, whatever, and release it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, might have to do that at your little summer retreat too. That'd be cool.
That's better
Yeah.
that you can do that in a small group where everybody has their own thing. And yeah, look it up. So look up Tarpanas and look up a few different sites, because like Modern Yoga Journal and all them, they have some like really good information. But if you go back into Tarpana, like do Ayurveda Tarpana or Buddhism Tarpana, like something like that, where you get the ancient look and like what it really is. Maya Twari, I think she has, and there's another emotional spiritual healer who does a fascinating one. If I can find that one, I'll send that one to you. All right, ladies, thank you for jumping on the
Thanks,
call.
Debs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, AT&T hotspot.
Yeah.
It worked
My whole
great.
thing was done on the hotspot.
Tell Kebs I said hi.
I
Welcome home.
will. He had a very relaxing vacation. He
Good,
laid in the
good.
lounge chair and read books.
Good. Hopefully his
He's zenned out
blood
now.
He did.
pressure's, yeah, nice and chill.
Yeah.
More chill.
All right, ladies, thank you again. That was a fantastic call.
And
And
I'm gonna go on
Bye.
Amazon right now and order my golden milk, and then I'll make it from scratch after
yeah.
that.
All right. Night, ladies.
All
All
good
right. Night. Thanks.